Throughout the ancient world, we can find mysterious structures, carvings, and symbols that defy explanation. For ancient astronaut theorists like me, these are signs that our ancestors were influenced by extraterrestrial visitors, and they represent a code left for future generations to decipher. One of my most favorite places to explore is India. Its mythology is chock full of stories of powerful gods who came from the sky and possessed astonishing technology, like flying craft called vimanas. And there is evidence that the secret to this technology has been encoded within complex geometric symbols that are said to have been designed by the gods. Number 3 on our countdown of the top 10 alien codes, Mandalas.
More than 5,000 years ago, the Indus Valley civilization emerged in the Punjab region of modern-day India and Pakistan. Its people produced the foundational texts for Hinduism, which is widely regarded as the world's oldest religion, and today has more than 1 billion followers. The earliest of these texts, called the Vedas, describe how the gods provided humankind with a visual guide to sacred sounds. They are represented in elaborate patterns called mandalas.
The Vedas tell us that the gods taught humans how to chant, how to pray, and to sing in order to communicate with the gods.
Mandalas are mnemonic devices used to aid meditation, often in tandem with chanting. So what they're doing is they're essentially translating sound into visual patterns.
Mandalas are important components in both Hindu and Buddhist faiths. For ancient astronaut theorists, what is most intriguing about mandalas is that the visual patterns do, in fact, have a scientific connection to the sacred sounds they are said to represent. This was discovered thanks to an 18th century German physicist named Ernst Chladni, who is known as the father of acoustics. In 1787, Chladni's book, Discoveries in the Theory of Sound, revealed that the application of sound vibrations to grains of sand on a metal plate creates complex geometric shapes, now known as cymatic patterns.
We've got this thin metal plate, like a sounding board, and we've got a transducer attached to the bottom of it. And they spread sand over the top of this plate. And we start playing certain tones, and those sand particles start to bounce around and dance around, and they start to form these mathematical circular patterns. And as we move up through these frequencies, the sand goes into kind of a chaos in-between state, and then it arrives at this next pattern. And the higher the frequency you go, the more these patterns become more complex.
For Hindus and Buddhists, the most important sacred sound is Om. For centuries, this sound has been depicted in mandalas by a circle with a dot in the middle. Incredibly, the sound Om produces a cymatic pattern that perfectly matches this depiction. Other sounds also create patterns that are found in ancient mandalas.
Is it conceivable that the writers of the ancient Vedic texts were given advanced knowledge on how sound frequencies can be converted into visual patterns? Is it therefore possible that sound is an important means of communication with such higher intelligences?
Could mandalas contain an otherworldly message for humanity that is based on sacred sounds? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest evidence can be found at the Sri Ranganatha temple in southern India. Standing in the temple's courtyard are 40 ornate statues that depict vimanas, vehicles that, according to Sanskrit texts, were navigated by the gods.
The word Vimana in ancient Vedic texts means flying machines. In Hinduism, it is clearly established that the gods come down from the sky using Vimanas. And in the temple of Srirangam, these carvings show many different types of Vimanas. And what's really unique is that under these Vimanas, we are able to see some very interesting patterns of mandala. According to legend, each type of Vimana can be activated with a specific type of mandala. I believe that much of ancient technology was activated with specific types of frequencies. And if we crack this visual code, if we crack this cymatic pattern, we might actually unlock the secret to power these Vimanas.
At number 2 on our countdown, crop circles.
Winchester, England, April 24th, 2022. A mysterious geometric pattern emerges in a field of mustard plants. The perfectly symmetrical design is a phenomenon known as a crop circle.
Crop circles are basically features, designs, illustrations of high complexity in crops. They tend to be complicated designs of unknown origin.
Crop circles range from small discs to elaborate pictograms, hundreds of feet across. They have been found in various crops, including wheat, barley, oilseed rape, and corn.
In terms of the patterns themselves, they've been undergoing this amazing sort of ramp up in sophistication. You can find these huge, what they call pictographs, that span hundreds of feet across a whole field and feature multiple components, and they're arranged with mathematical precision.
Crop circles appear in more than 50 countries, and there literally have been thousands of them. Maybe over 10,000 crop circles that we're aware of in the modern era.
One of the first in 1966, it was Tully, Queensland, Australia. A farmer heard a buzzing sound and literally saw this big, round, maybe 30 feet diameter craft disc rising up out of what essentially was marshy, reedy ground. And it goes up and disappears. Something keeps laying things down in sequence as if it has a big picture of how it is communicating with this planet, but it is doing so in pieces. What in the world is making these patterns and why?
Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that the answer may be encoded within the crop circles themselves and might have critical implications for mankind. As evidence, they point to an elaborate formation that appeared in Roughton, England in 2008.
One formation had everyone baffled, and people were saying, well, what is this? Then a mathematician had a look at it and said, wait a minute, that's a representation of pi, and it's correct down to 10 decimal places.
It's a representation of pi in a geometric sense. It's kind of interesting because the way you get pi out of it is the lengths of the different arcs in each segment. And what happens is there's these little notches in the spiral that let you know you're at the end of an arc. So you actually have to measure the arc lengths as you go around, and their lengths give you the digits of pi. And there's a little circle to give you the decimal point. So it's a really interesting example of using geometry as a code for representing digits and numbers.
Many of the most famous crop circles actually derive from fractal patterns, which is a mathematical shape. The Mandelbrot set, the Julia set. To make these, you have to have knowledge of math. Mathematics is, of course, the universal language. Could crop circles, as some believe, be an attempt from an alien civilization to reach out and communicate with us?
Coming in at number 1, the genetic code.
Silves, Portugal, 1984. Farmers digging a well come across a mysterious object 15 feet beneath the earth. A 6-foot-long, carved limestone egg. Known as the Algarve egg, it has been dated to at least 3500 BC, and scientists conclude it could be even older. But what interests ancient astronaut theorists the most is a mysterious pattern etched on its surface.
When we look at the Algarve egg, it had a symbol on it that looked like intertwined serpents. Or they can also be interpreted as DNA strands. And the idea of the double helix wasn't invented or wasn't discovered by us human beings until well into the 20th century.
Is it possible that the design found on the Algarve egg shows the DNA double helix? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest that this genetic symbol can be found throughout the ancient world.
The DNA spiral is shown on different antique rocks and steles. Just for example, look at the Sumerian steles. There you see so-called flying geniuses or winged geniuses. Between these winged geniuses is something which archaeology calls the tree of life. But if you look at the tree of life, it's in reality a DNA spiral.
How is it possible that the double helix appears in ancient carvings and artwork when it wasn't discovered by modern scientists until 1953? Ancient astronaut theorists suggest clues have been hidden within our own cells. In 2013, Kazakhstani scientists Vladimir Sherbak and Maxim Makukov published a shocking proposal that there is an intelligent code that can be found in our own DNA.
They concluded that there was a certain amount of mathematical precision and what's known as a digital checking built into our DNA, like computer codes have. Checking codes to make sure that all the other codes are right.
Ever since the theory of evolution was introduced by Charles Darwin in 1859, scientists have searched for a so-called missing link that connects humans to our hominid ancestors. Ancient astronaut theorists suggest this evolutionary leap was made by extraterrestrial manipulation of our DNA.
We've always suggested that the ultimate proof for the ancient astronaut theory will not happen because we'll discover a buried spaceship somewhere or a ray gun in a tomb, but rather inside of our own DNA.
Believe it or not, I have colleagues of mine looking for secret messages in our DNA. And some of my friends take this to the nth degree and say maybe aliens from outer space have left us a message. Maybe there's a message there, hidden by an advanced civilization, and that says, here we are, folks. We created you, and to prove it, we left a code for you in your DNA. Well, we can't rule it out.
The idea that extraterrestrials placed a hidden message in our DNA is not only sensational, but also entirely possible. And one thing is clear, whether they're standing stones, elaborate mandalas, or massive geoglyphs, perhaps by deciphering these alien codes, we will unlock the truth about our extraterrestrial past.